and we are live here on the PHU Dynasty podcast. This is episode 25. I'm here with my trusty co-host, my barnacle boy to my mermaid man. It's probably the other way around on looks, but it's me and my co-host Sean O'Shea.
Oh man, you
We're
froze there
here.
for a second. Hello.
We are here to kind of wrap up a lot. We haven't had a podcast in quite a while, so I apologize for that, but we're
It's fine.
here.
Nothing's happened. Nothing
There's
important.
absolutely nothing has happened in the last couple of weeks. So we're here today to kind of get a lasso on all of that and see if we can give it some context with the Dynasty League and kind of track down all these different moves that have been made. So
And
we're
at the end of the podcast, Eric has promised to completely break down what the NFL salary cap is for everybody, so they understand.
That's correct. I'm gonna be doing that. And on top of that, I'm going to tell you exactly what the Packers are thinking, as promised in our sleeper chat, because I'm an insider and I know everything about what's happening with the Packers situation. So, no, that's total bull crap. Let's go ahead and before we get started and all that talk, let's play everybody's favorite game. It's called Name That Bust, Sean. So this one is a fun one, and I'm not going to be doing it with the slides. I have these banners instead, so I'll show you the clues, and the first clue you're getting is this one. And this was a wide receiver who was drafted in the 2018 draft, and he was in the second round, 44th overall.
Okay.
So any guess based on that?
2018.
Somewhat recent, not way back in the archives.
This feels like an Alex Dynasty draft pick.
I cannot confirm or deny that. I can't.
Oh. Yeah, let me take a guess real quick.
Take a shot. See what happens. If you get on your first try, it'll be the first time in Name That Bust history.
Yeah, it's oh god. This is Arcega-Whiteside?
It is not JJ Arcega-Whiteside, but that is a great guess.
All right.
He might have been in that same draft now that I think about it. He's
Can't
been in the league
remember.
like 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years, yeah. He was a second rounder though.
He was.
Good.
Right.
Great pick.
Yeah, seriously, just an absolute stud. I believe we looked it up the other day. He has less than 500 receiving yards for his career or something like that. All right, here's your next clue. So he played for the University of Washington.
Oh, that might as well have been my first clue. I don't know colleges for anything.
Well, actually, that's not true. Hold on a sec. This might be in the same draft, actually. We'll talk about it at the end, but there's 2 receivers I think that may have got drafted this year from Washington.
Didn't Gardner Minshew go to Washington?
He went to Eastern Washington, I believe.
East Washington?
The Cougars or whatever, or maybe Washington State. I can't remember.
My friend, I know nothing about colleges.
All right, so we're going to the next one. So his next clue is he has just 749 career receiving yards, and he played 3 games for the Giants this year in 2021. The Giants were not his original team. I'll give you that clue as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, shit. I know
it's right there on the tip of your tongue.
It's not going to me. Oh, God.
Here's your next clue.
He played for the Niners. He probably got drafted by the Niners.
He got drafted by the Niners.
Why can't I remember his name? We forgot his name.
All right, here's the last clue that might help you. Drafted by the Lambs.
Oh my god, man.
He's so. This is probably hard because he's so irrelevant. He's so far off the radar.
Real. He got hyped so hard.
Yeah, he was hyped so hard by many communities, specifically the Dynasty community. It's because he actually looked good a couple of times, and then it just kind of why didn't they use him again? It was I guess he was just done. He got in the doghouse of Shanahan his rookie year.
Yeah, I'm blanking. It's
I'll give you his initials. It's DP.
Dante Pettis?
That is correct. It's
Yeah.
Dante Pettis. We got there.
I kept wanting to say Austin Pettis.
Yeah, Austin Pettis was a Boise State draft pick back in the day,
Oh, there you go.
in the Titus Young draft. So anyway, I was thinking the other Washington guy. I believe this may have been the same draft as John Ross because I think they were both on the same Washington team.
Wow.
So I don't. Neither of them worked out clearly,
A
but
lot of
um,
disappointment.
yeah, it was just endless disappointment there. Um, all right, so that is name that bus for this week. We have so much to talk about in terms of movement, player movement. I got a ticker on the bottom, kind of with the high level guys, but we'll start first with the big news of the day today, which is March 17th, 8:29 p.m. It just happened like a couple hours ago, but the Las Vegas Raiders have traded for Devontae Adams pretty much out of nowhere. But like this was a talk before the whole free agency thing started, But with Rodgers coming back, myself included, I didn't think that this would happen after Rodgers signed because to me the big draw for Rodgers is I'm not coming back unless Devontae's here. It turns out that that wasn't the
He has a
case.
cap hit too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what was Adams' cap hit supposed to be because he got franchise correct. It was like
Yeah.
29 or 28 or something like that. I can't remember, but
Yeah, but Rodgers, his was only like 28 this year now.
yeah,
It got lowered.
yeah, he
His deal.
restructured it, or he structured it the way that you could bring back people.
Mhm.
So not only did they let go of Devontae Adams, they also let Zadarius Smith walk in free agency as well, and I believe they got rid of a couple other guys. So like I
Mhm.
don't know, and this is where insider Eric comes out. I don't know anything. I know nothing about what the Packers are doing. This obviously for the lampposts. I don't know. How do you view Devonte Adams now that because we all kind of thought this could happen, but from a dynasty perspective, does this severely hurt Devonte Adams' value, or does this kind of just keep it the same?
It's the same. It's fine.
It
He's so
can't. I don't
good.
think it makes it better.
It doesn't get better. Nobody's going to pass him the ball better than Rodgers was, considering the chemistry they had. But like, Derek Carr's fine. You're good.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not worried about
now
Rodgers.
the only concern would just be like targets competition because he
Yeah,
is going to be,
he's
fighting with
he's
Waller and Renfro, who's not bad. So I
yeah,
think
his
that's going to change.
target share is going to lower for sure.
It's just a matter now. It's how efficient is with those targets is going to be more important.
Right.
Um, but for the lamppost, as we bring this back to the dynasty perspective, traded with me, I got rid of them for 2 first
Sorry.
round picks. It seems like this trade doesn't really affect that trade because we kind of thought this could happen. Um, that being said, Dan still has a very quality wide receiver one here. And in addition to that, he has all kinds of other excellent receiving talent on his team. So I think this doesn't really hurt him too bad. I think it's still a downgrade just because the chemistry and the target share.
I
I
think
don't think he's gonna match.
the perception is going to be worse than like what it actually lands, like ends up being. So I actually think, like, not counting our league, because we think all of us pretty much have a good head on our shoulders when it comes to valuing players, sans Alex, but like other leagues, you could see like them just overvaluing, like over devaluing this move, and you could probably get him cheaper than what he's actually worth now.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I could see other teams like buying him for lower, or other leagues going,
Najee Harris.
I couldn't, I didn't have that lined up while you made that comment, but I
Do you
apologize for
think
that.
do you think you would get the same trade today?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I don't think so. I think I might have to let him go for a little bit less, so maybe like a first and a second or something. I don't know if he goes for the same price just because I think people value that connection with Rodgers so much and that value of how little
Yeah.
competition there were. They have nobody else there. It's just him. Um, so I think he might be I think he might have a down year from what he's been doing for the last few years. I think he'll, have a few less touchdowns. He'll definitely have less targets, probably less receptions. So I see it going down
Can we get
personally.
a meme of just a live look at the wide receiver rooms for Green Bay and Atlanta right now?
I mean, at least, well, isn't Valdez Scanling's a free agent,
Yeah,
right? So they have like Amari Rogers, Equinemius St. Brown.
he went to the Bears.
Who did?
St. Brown.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically they got Amari Rogers and like not
Yeah.
a whole lot of anything else. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Did
know.
he have
Like I
a
said, in
basketball
this, let's
contract?
bring us back to the Packers. Like, what are they doing? I don't get it.
I
There's just nothing that makes sense about this. If they were going to go all in with Rodgers, if we're going to bring back Rodgers, why not just keep everybody that makes them happy? Like, I don't get it. They messed this up so bad.
This is going to be
And
like some kind of oral history on what is Pat McAfee's show on Tuesdays.
dude, next
This
Tuesday is going to be
is
lit.
it's going to get a
I'm
lot of views.
watching.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching. I'm confused, and I think now this kind of begs the question, does Rodgers like just ask for a trade or retire? Like, is that even a possibility now? Like, because he got paid. Rodgers got paid already.
Yeah.
So, like, could he just retire and take the guaranteed money and just walk? Like, is that even? I don't even know if that's allowed. I don't know anything about it.
I don't
But that
know.
would be if he wasn't made aware of this possibility of a trade before signing this contract, then they dump him. He might just go right into Gundakus' office and punch him right in the face and then retire. Like I could see it happening. He's such a diva at this point. I would not be surprised.
He's like such a weird guy at this point. There could have been a falling out between him and Adams, to be honest.
That could have happened too. That could have happened. Maybe it was like, oh, I want more money. Oh, I want more money. Oh, you got paid first. I got franchised. I'm out of here.
Adams is just like fucking sick of the melodrama. He's like, fuck
Yeah,
it, I'm
he's
just
probably
gonna
like,
do
just
somewhere else.
can I go somewhere where I can just play the game? Like,
he's been linked to Vegas for a while. We've seen.
yeah, it's because of that connection with Carr.
Yeah.
Which definitely means that, to me, like, I don't think he wanted to go to anywhere other than the Raiders because of that. So it would be really hard for me to believe that they move on from Carr at this point.
Does that make them any better than the fourth best team in that division still?
Dude, it was weird because before today, I was confused on what the Raiders are doing because they added Chandler Jones. They signed a bunch of like older veteran-y kind of guys. And I was like, they're not ready yet. They're not. Like, they just don't have it yet. And I was like, you're not going to compete in this division with this loadout. But then they add Adams today, and now they have one of the most lethal passing attacks on paper. It's Derek Carr this is his last stand. Like, he has to make it happen this year. If he doesn't, then they're moving on.
Pulling a Rams. Just
they are.
Give away all the draft picks. It worked.
Fuck them picks. A lot of teams are doing that today. It seems like a lot of picks are doing the fuck them picks thing. The Broncos did it.
Story of sports management right there. A team does something that bucks a trend and does it successfully, and then everybody tries doing it.
It's a copycat league, Sean. And it's very funny too, because back when we were in high school and when this league even started, these type of trades just didn't happen. Like, we didn't see this kind of stuff where everybody's just like, they always value draft picks so highly, and there was never big trades like this. And now it's just every week it seems like there's some crazy ass shit going on, where especially the quarterback movement. Like, there's been so much. This might be the most quarterback movement I've ever seen for an offseason. Like, there's going to be
every league,
like 10, 15 new starters at this point, like, from every team.
Like, point of origin is just like the NBA. I know this is a football podcast. I'm sorry, everybody, but just like the power that players have in the NBA to just like move around and do whatever they want, because they can just
getting that way.
Not play. But like, that's kind of like leaking into like other sports, except for probably like hockey.
I mean, the Bucks are a pretty good example at this point. It's kind of like it's more of a recruitment thing now. I mean, the trades, you have to have some sort of leverage to get a trade, but like, Baker basically like, what's going on there? We'll talk about the Browns in a minute. All right, so let's move on here. So we got the first big quarterback moves of the offseason was this one. It was the Battle Axes quarterback Russell Wilson getting traded to the Broncos. He was traded for I believe 2 firsts, 2 seconds, or something like that. Noah Fant, Drew Lock, and Shelby Harris. So it was a big deal. I think the Seahawks got good value personally. I mean, because it was obvious that that was just a souring deal up there. Um, so Broncos, like, they didn't really give away a whole lot other than Fant, but he wasn't really super impressive to start his career. And they also have Albert O, who looks decent, but
Good.
I think it's a good trade for both teams. And this, I mean, you're a Cortland Sutton owner, so you must be very happy about this.
It's the perfect quarterback for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Literally perfect.
got some DK vibes. I wouldn't say go that far
Mm-hmm.
to say he is him, but he could be the DK to to that kind of relationship. But
Tim
this
Patrick's
boosts Jerry Jeudy.
Tim Patrick's great receiver for
I
his
like Tim Patrick.
yeah.
I
Judy,
like him.
he's great. He's a good receiver, but I don't know, just the like style that Wilson plays, like throwing those deep shots. I just think those two are going to benefit more.
Do you
So
think that because I hate to compare people like this like to a good player when Judy has really done not a whole lot, but from a game perspective, like they're both good route runners. They both do all these similar things. Like he could be like a Doug Baldwin kind of guy. I could remember. I mean, people don't really remember Doug that well. He wasn't that long ago, but like he was such a good route runner. I could see a world where he kind of has that type of involvement in the underneath passing game because as it stands right now, the only other kind of underneath guys that they have are just the tight end. So it's just Alberto at this point. Those other guys, Patrick and Sutton, have been more intermediate to long kind of guys. So we'll have to see what kind of impact this has on
yeah,
these receivers, but it can't go any worse. It can't.
what's interesting is that like Denver is like what Seattle wishes they were. They've got these talent
Kinda
on the outside,
great
but
defense.
they run the ball first. They were a good running team last year. They just with how bad Teddy was, it could have been even better. But I don't know. I
I
think
think this offense is fucking loaded. I got to be honest. Like if you like Javonte Williams is kind of an afterthought right now, but he
I
is a
I do
stud.
think you get a team friendly Melvin Gordon deal
I
back
can
with
see it
this
now.
because like at this point you just load up and you go for it, and he's already been there. He knows all the guys, so
There's no downside to bringing him back at this point. I mean,
yeah.
the only thing is it stunts Javonte's dynasty growth, but they don't care about that. So,
Yep.
um, but I just if you think about this Denver offense, they got all these great pass catchers now. They have potentially two great running backs if they bring back Gordon. And the underrated thing about this team is their offensive line is stacked too.
Good.
So like
Mhm.
I can't see any reason this wouldn't work out like for this year. It's gonna be a very good fantasy offense to be a part of. So we'll keep moving on. So we'll talk about Fant to the Seahawks now for the Lambs. Um, Fant had a couple of disappointing years. It's just hard for tight ends to get started, but
It's a crowded
Fant
room too.
he's really a talented player.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of can somebody get him the ball accurately and consistently? Will he have a big target share? And then three, will he have the ability to make that next step? Because he's solid now, but like we want to see more basically. Um, this is all. I think this all comes down to who's throwing the ball at this point. If it's Drew Lock again, it's gonna be like holy shit.
It could be Malik Willis.
It could be a rookie. Could be Baker. I've heard some Baker rumors. I mean, that'd be interesting.
Is that better or worse than Drew Lock?
I think it's better
Slightly better.
because they just like they have Lockett, they have Metcalf. Like that offense still is solid. Like that's the offense around whatever quarterback that's going to be is going to actually have a decent situation. It's not like you're going to the Falcons and they have just like an empty cupboard. Like they have people. Like DK's good, Lockett's good, Fant is good.
You think they're there week 1?
It depends. Like I've talked about this before. I think Lockett is a prime trade candidate. He's got a big contract. He's still playing well. He's older. He seems like an ideal trade candidate kind of guy. But we'll
Need
have
to
to
get more
see.
for DK, but
Oh, of course you could. I mean, DK, but the thing is, like, do you want to trade a guy with? First of all, DK is making $0 at this point because he's a third round pick, I think. So he's super team friendly, so you might as well just hang on to him. But it just depends on who's throwing the ball. I mean, it's going to be a weird one for the Seahawks for a little while because I'm still not sure what they're doing either. So
say you're a team in Green Bay that's trying to keep Aaron Rodgers happy, and there's a wide receiver that now is unhappy in Seattle that doesn't want to play there now that they don't have a quarterback.
mm-hmm. I thought that Lockett to the Packers have made a ton of sense, but DK too. Either way, either one of them.
Like they don't have any money apparently to pay Adams, so they probably want the cheaper guy.
Yeah, I would imagine that they would want to find some cheap guy that's not happy with where he's currently at. So DK fits that mold very well. Um, also saw, because I didn't put it in this list, but I saw a rumor today that Brady's recruiting Julio Jones to come to the Bucks, which is wild because they already have like a pretty full room as it is. Like, I don't know how they would have to get him for like, a box of Skittles or something. I don't know what they would pay him, but
Probably a better older receiver to bring in the locker room than AB.
probably, yeah. I would feel a lot better about having. God, could you imagine having Julio,
Um,
Gronk,
Going back to the original
Evans?
thing, Seattle they have Will Disley that they just re-signed.
3 years, 24 million. One of the worst contracts.
Is Everett still on the team too?
No, he's a free agent. I think he had a 1 year deal from last year that just ended.
Oh, I like that duo as tight ends. It's fun.
Yeah, if they bring him back, well, even if they don't bring Everett back, I still like Disley's a good blocker. People that don't care about that, but
I am
he's
a
got
Will
some
Disley
pop.
truther.
We all like Will Disley.
Love Will Disley.
Oh, yeah, who doesn't? All right, moving on.
Tight end right
I
there.
think this one might hit close to home for you. I think it's a Carson Wentz to the Commanders.
He's a commie.
He's a
we wear red here, comrade.
This has got to be like, if you're a Commanders fan, it's got to be the most uninspiring. Like, out of all the things that could have happened, right? Like, this could have. Oh, we could have had Russell. Oh, we could have had Deshaun. Oh, we could have had this. Oh, we could have had that. And then they end up with Carson Wentz. And
I can't wait for him to absolutely torch Philadelphia when they play.
What's going to happen too? He's going to have like one hero game against these former teams.
It's going to be like he'll be playing for like his starting job, and it'll be a game in Philadelphia, and he'll just throw for like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, no problem.
I mean, the positive, if you're somebody like Vince, is this probably boosts your Terry McLaurin a little bit, right?
Yeah, he's not afraid to throw it. Like he doesn't obviously doesn't care about making mistakes. Although I will say he really didn't. His interceptions were really down last year.
He played decent football at times. There's just times where it's like, holy shit, what are you doing, Carson? Like, I think he had a couple of those terrible fumbles and interceptions. But yeah, I think this.
Shit like that.
Carson Wentz pretty well. Does this hurt Gibson? Because he doesn't really throw to the backs that often, does he?
Yeah, it's not great for their running backs out of the backfield. It'll be really good for their tight ends. He loves the tight end.
Interesting. So, I mean, Logan Thomas is a good one, so
he was already good. So yeah, that's.
I think, did Vince pick up Logan Thomas? I think he did from last year in that trade. I think he got him in a trade, so that could work out really well. Here's another interesting one from today that popped up out of nowhere. Allen Robinson going to the Rams. That's one I did not see coming because I thought the Rams were broke, and it turns out the salary cap isn't real.
$30 million guaranteed. It's not real.
30 mil guaranteed. They have no picks. They have no cap room. They have all these stars, and somehow they just managed to pull it off. I think that every team just keeps pushing it back, all their money into these restructured contracts, and they just do it forever and then never pay it off. I think that's what happens. I think I finally figured it out. The Saints too. The Saints restructured Michael Thomas. They restructured like 3 other guys, and they created $40 million in cap space just by restructuring some deals. It's like, dude, like, when does this end? It just never does.
I don't know if this speaks to just their if they're concerned if they are bringing OBJ back, which it sounds like they're still planning on doing.
That would be insane.
Like that just speaks to like when they think they're gonna get him back and Bobby Tree's back.
Yeah, I saw that too, where it's like
Cooper Kupp some support. So
yeah, all those guys potentially being injured. You have to have somebody else instead of Ben Skoronek or whatever that guy's name is.
It's a great blocker.
Like Van Jefferson, they're not that good. I mean, those guys aren't going to cut it. So I get the move, but I mean, God, if everybody's healthy, this is just
Crowded.
outrageous. Like, this is so good. Who gives a crap about the running back and tight end at that point?
It's good until you have one of the receivers on your dynasty team.
I own a Bobby Trees, but you know he might be available. We'll put it that way. But all these receivers are definitely going to take away from each other's impact, except for Cup probably. Cup
Yeah,
is just going
no,
to
there's
get his
no way.
money.
Yeah,
It seems like.
he's locked and loaded next year. I wouldn't worry about him at all.
All right, let's talk about Kentucky Elk wide receiver Amari Cooper going to the Browns. Downgrade, right? This is not good right now.
It's not what you want.
I
Although who
can't
knows who
imagine
the
it's good.
quarterback will be next year? Who fucking knows? It could be Case
It seems
Keenum.
like Jimmy G has been, like, okay, well, if it's not going to be Baker, it might be Jimmy. It might be.
We were talking a couple nights ago, and I thought I had this nailed of like where all the quarterback carousels were going, and now I have no idea.
No, the whole Baker saga is so interesting because he basically, like, we were talking about this the other night on video games, just like he sent a tweet out saying, like, I've given everything I had to this team, like this whole, like, basically I'm leaving tweet, and it's like you haven't even been traded or anything. I thought he got traded. That's why he wrote that. I was
You're
looking
just
frantically trying
refreshing,
to find out where he was
yeah,
going.
keep refreshing the apps like every minute and see like what happened. Nothing
It didn't
happened,
make any sense. So I mean, Baker seems as good as gone at this point. I think he requested a trade, so
and they
it's
did
going to
not.
be a new quarterback.
They said no.
Oh my god, yeah, you're gonna play whether you like it or not.
He'll just be the backup.
He
No
might
problem.
just sit out. Might pull a Watson.
Yeah, it's his 5th year option, isn't it?
It's got to be close. They didn't give him a contract. That's for sure. So
No, this would be the first time I think a player has played on his 5th year option on his original team without having a contract extension. It'd be him.
that's crazy.
Lamar Jackson is the other one, but I'm pretty sure they're working on a deal with Lamar.
Yeah, I would imagine they would try to sign Lamar. I mean, why wouldn't they? Um, so yeah, Amari Cooper to the Browns, definite downgrade for now. It seems like so. I
I mean,
can't
no
imagine that.
competition for targets really. He's got that going for him. Plus,
Yeah, I mean
Rashad
it,
Higgins isn't even there. He's in Carolina now, I think.
no, they moved on from him. I think it's just kind of like Donovan Peoples-Jones,
I
Anthony
like him.
Schwartz, and
Yeah,
Njoku is going to be the starting tight end now that Hooper got cut. So it's not a ton that's in the way, but he'll get his money. It's just not exciting. We'll put it that way.
mhm.
Here's a big one: the Dillos get Tom Brady back out of nowhere, and you know we'll talk about this in the team review a little bit later, but Tom Brady might have been the cog of the kingpin, I guess, if you will, of am I rebuilding or am I not rebuilding? Because it seems like he might be a big piece of it, and I think Vince's meme the other day hit that right on the head. Um, so let's go ahead and move on. We'll talk about that later. We got Christian Kirk, Lions head receiver, to the Jaguars for I believe, 4-year, up to $84 million contract with 52 guaranteed, and the base salary is like 74. So this man has never had more than 900 receiving yards in a season. He's an average player. I can't even call him above average. He's average. There's nothing
What
I've seen that would I even consider calling him above average.
if you were a team trying to contend for the playoffs? What wide receiver is he on your team?
Like, okay, well, I mean, I'll take my team from like last year, the year before.
I'm
He
just talking
would
about the
probably.
NFL. I'm not talking about fantasy or dynasty.
Oh, if you're a team, like if I'm in the NFL and I wanted to just have Christian Kirk on my team,
Yeah,
he'd probably be like a 3 or 4.
yeah,
I really don't want him as my 2, but I'd be very happy with him as my 3 though. I think
sure.
he's a low end 2, high end 3, and they paid him $84 million, which makes him the I believe, the third highest paid receiver in the league as of the signing, and he's getting paid more than Chris Godwin is on his new contract.
Sure is. Chris
Which
Godwin
is
signed after this deal was already out.
correct. It's
Unless
just that agent, whoever he is, bravo.
for him.
I don't know how. I think I honestly just think the Jaguars were just being charitable. They just gave out so much money. It was kind of like the Patriots from last year, where they were just like, you get a money, and you get a money, and you get a contract, and you get a contract. Like they just didn't care. They signed all of these backup level players to huge contracts, especially on defense. They signed 2 defensive linemen for just that were basically just like rotational players, and they just didn't care and gave him like $20 million. Like it just doesn't add up.
Who's the new head coach for the Jags again?
It's
Peterson.
it's your boy
Peterson,
Peterson.
right? If I
But
were him and I see this GM doing all this fucking bullshit, how am I not like in the owner's ear? Like this
well,
guy is just
you got to
trying.
imagine he signs off on these things. Like
Yeah, but like Shad
we all
Khan,
knew.
he doesn't know what's going on. Like
No, he's a soccer guy. He
if he
doesn't know.
if he wanted to be more involved, the team would be better. And not Jerry Jones involved level, but like he would know what was going on. This guy
Yeah,
is really just he knows he's about to lose his job. So or like he's guaranteed I guarantee you he's not the GM at this point next year. I
Trent
would put
Baalke
money.
is a joke. The fact that he's still the GM to begin with is unbelievable.
If he has a job at this point next year, he has something on Khan.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Just plain and simple. Like
He shouldn't. I still can't believe he made it through the exodus that was the Urban Meyer regime. Like he somehow made it, and everybody knew. Everybody in the NFL knows that he has never been successful at being a GM. When he was with the 49ers, he made all kinds of terrible moves, and somehow he's managed to keep his job after a terrible season last season. And honestly, like just terrible drafting last year too. They took like ETN. They didn't need him. Like they just awful GMing basically, top to bottom. And somehow he keeps his job. And then he does this offseason. This seems like the guy that's just in, like you said, he's kind of in fuck you mode, and he just doesn't care. And
why does
that's
he care about
insane.
money that's going to get paid out after he's gone? Like what?
No, it's the same thing that we were talking about with the Rays situation last night. It's like, if the Rays are spending all this money, it might just be like, I'm gonna Sean Payton this and spend all this money and then peace out. Like I could see it.
To do this to Florida's most devoted fan base
They
is just
loved
ridiculous.
Duval. Loves Duval, man.
Best fans, football fans in
All they
Florida,
have.
other
That's
than
all they have.
college. That's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, like they have diehard fans out there. It's pretty wild. So anyway, let's bring us back to Dynasty real quick. So yeah, we have, you know,
Good
like
for
he's gonna
Kirk.
get targets.
He's gonna get targets because you can't pay a guy $20 million and not give him targets. That's like,
Allen Robinson.
well, that's just because you can't.
Bears Allen Robinson got no targets.
Trevor Lawrence has no problem attempting passes. He has problems throwing touchdowns. See pods episodes 10 through 20 where we torch
Like
Alex's
6
team because he
touchdowns.
went 7 weeks without throwing a touchdown pass. But
I can't remember what he
there's
said.
no problem attempting passes, and there's vacancies in that offense right now. So it's
Yeah,
him,
somebody's
Marvin
got to catch the
Jones.
ball.
I guarantee you they'll probably draft a receiver too.
Yeah, of
So
course they will, because they're gonna be dumb and do something stupid that they don't need to do.
they'll probably draft somebody
They
that like
got Zay Jones as well, which is another shitty signing.
yeah.
And then they have LaVisca still. So they have guys. It's just like none of them are good.
I bet they will draft somebody that profiles either exactly like Marvin Jones or exactly like Christian Kirk, and it will just be
Yeah,
like
they're not going to get somebody different
on the roster. Yeah,
There's just be an absolute clog. It's going to be unbelievable. All right, let's keep going. So we got some more long gamers here. Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert, both on the long gamers, go to the Dolphins. I think you can effectively say with this, rip Myles Gaskin. I think that about does it for him this year. Both of these guys, I actually love the Mostert signing. They got him for like, I think 1 year, $3 million, which is just, if he's healthy, tremendous. We love it, and he's a great back. And then Chase Edmonds, if Raheem ever gets hurt, he's a fine guy to have. I think they did a really good job shoring up this room.
The new head coach is from the Niners, right?
Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator.
So my guess is that Mostert will be the day one starting running back until he gets hurt eventually. But
Yeah,
that's when I like Chase Edmonds. So I'm actually fine with this because I think they can. Neither of them are like power backs, so it makes me worry that they're going to have another running back in there as well at
maybe.
some point. So,
I
but
like it.
I like them both to Miami because the scheme is probably going to come over, and they just have to execute it. That's another question, but
The 49ers love to run the ball under Mike McDaniel and Shanahan.
yeah,
So they're going to get touches. So I like it. And of course, if Mostert goes down, then you'd have less of a split, and it's even better in my opinion. So,
I'd
um,
love to see what Waddle looks like in this offense. I'm actually really excited to see that.
yeah, they got Waddle. They picked up Cedric Wilson for the Cowboys, who I think's underrated. I think he's kind of got some juice that would work well in this offense. I still think they need to add.
Better receiver, Christian Kirk or Wilson?
Jeez, I mean they don't do anything the same. I guess Kirk technically,
All right.
but I haven't seen enough. I honestly, that's the thing is, Kirk is like It's been 4 years and he's never done anything. So like
Yeah.
I just want to see him like do something. I don't even care what it is, just do anything. Um, I've seen Wilson make plays, it seems like, but I feel like I never see Kirk do anything. So it's weird, but I don't. I think this offense is ascending. I think they got Waddle, they got Wilson. They'll get a healthy Parker next year, hopefully. They have Gesicki. They'll probably draft somebody too. I think they're going to be all right.
Please God, give them an offensive line.
That's their dude. I think they've only signed one lineman as of right now. They need to figure that out quick. Moving on. Lionheads wide receiver DJ Chark goes to the Lions on a 1 year, I believe, $10 million deal or something like that. If Christian Kirk can get 23 mil a year, how the fuck did DJ Chark only get 10? It doesn't add up. Because I mean, at least Chark showed you 1 year of excellent play. Um, I like this move for the Lions. It's low risk for sure, and if he pans out, then you got something decent there.
This is my favorite deal so far of the offseason. I just like the
It's a
Lions
nice
aren't
clean deal.
just like the Jags. The Lions aren't going to entice any like high caliber free agent to their team.
No,
It's like
this is the kind of guy they need.
such a perfect compliment to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like having him on my team,
Mm-hmm.
I love this.
Big fast guy Chark, and then
He's going to
smaller
half
underneath
as
guy.
many targets as St. Brown. They're probably going to have the same amount of yards. Shark might have more touchdowns, but like the volume is still going to stay to him and Hawkinson.
They're going to be throwing a ton.
I love this.
Yeah, and I think they'll draft one too. So you'll have, a little trio probably of if it's going to be Chark, Amon-Ra, and then whatever rookie they end up getting. And I like it. I think it's totally fine for them because they don't have a quarterback,
Their
and
offensive line improved throughout the year too. I mean,
they were great towards the end of the year last year. They were really improving.
they'll probably go pretty heavy on defense, I would imagine, in the draft, considering.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to build up that defense and then let Goff just burn himself into the ground and then draft one.
Is it Akuda? Akuda, right? Cornerback, safety. Who was their first round pick the year before? He missed like all of last year. He was like the 4th or 5th overall pick. I don't remember his name.
But he was a cornerback, right? Though.
Yeah, Jeff Akuda.
I know who you're talking. Yeah, Jeff Akuda.
He
I basically about Ronald Acuna.
So, it's like they're getting another first round pick back too this year.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty sure he got hurt, and of course they took Sewell last year, who was a stud. So I think what they'll do is, like you said, they just have this kind of core on offense for now, build up the defense, let Goff burn himself into the ground, and then draft one next year or the year after, or whatever, or find one next year, and then kind of see where it is from there. Because I think this is a long rebuild for sure. We got
balancing that the receiving game there also helps the running game to me too. So
yeah, I think Swift would help out a little bit probably. Bombers wide receiver Russell Gage to the Bucks. I put this one in here because anybody that goes to Tom Brady gets a bump, right? So even with the Julio news, one of these somebody's going to be hurt. I think Godwin may not even be fully healthy before the season starts. So like it makes sense to add a guy like Gage. I think they gave him too much money personally, but he's a quality third guy for sure, and they needed to upgrade over Scotty Miller and Rashad Perriman and some of these other guys. So I like the move. Then we got two Jets tight end signings, both of them terrible. But
Average. We're
yeah, they're
average.
just this is I actually think it's decent because both these guys can block, which is great for the running game, and they both have shown that they can flash every here and there. So just shore up because that position for them was a joke for the last couple of years. I think they had like
Yep.
who's that absolute garbage pail guy that I thought was decent. He went to the Vikings like midway through the season.
Herndon.
Chris Herndon, he was terrible. I think they had Ryan Griffin at one point. They just haven't had a good tight end in a long time, so this makes a lot of sense to just shore up that position and figure it out from there. They just pay these guys way too much money, though. I think Uzuma got just a stupid amount of money for how productive he's been. And then keeping it with the tight ends, we also have OJ Howard to the Bills, which I think is a sneaky little signing. Probably not going to really move Dawson Knox's needle, probably.
He'll have some random like 40 or 50-yard catch during the year. They'll kind of like
Everybody was like, "Oh, AJ Howard."
Yeah, they'll go shit.
Yeah, like I mean, I was one of Howard's biggest fans coming out, and he just flopped. So he's not. He's a big tight end that plays small. I hate that, but he can block. So at very worst, he's a good blocking too with that like one catch down the field kind of athletic type move. But I don't think this hurts Dawson Knox at all, and I think it's just a nice like a low risk, high upside pick for the Billies. So okay, so that covers the big player moves. I don't think I'm missing anybody major, Sean. I could be wrong, but we'll catch that when we're going through these team reviews. So let's go ahead and get started with the 2 team reviews for today. And the plan for these team reviews, hopefully everybody else is on board with the idea. But I was thinking of doing a team review, and I want to have that person on to talk about their own team, essentially. So today we're going to talk about my team. I'll talk about mine, and Sean might ask me some questions on that, and then Sean will talk about his, and then we'll kind of pick his brain on what he's thinking. In my line of thinking for this type of situation setup that we're working on is kind of just so you can hear what that person thinks about their own players to potentially, maybe liven up some trade conversations, maybe to see, who's on the block perhaps, just a way to keep some overall movement in the league. So I think it could be really fun. So let's see what we got here. And I got to get rid of this banner for OJ Howard. There it goes. Okay, so here we go. We got the Armadillos. A disappointing finish to last year. We were hoping, to get back to the championship after a championship run in 2020. So we had quite a few injuries. We had DeAndre Hopkins go down toward the end of the year. We had Adam Thielen out at the end of the year. We had Woods out at the end of the year. If you want to consider Kenny Golladay an injury, he might as well have been. He was non-existent last year. James Robinson took an injury in the playoffs. It was just not exactly what we had thought we were going to be getting this year. And then Barkley was hurt for a good chunk at the beginning of the year as well. That being said, I still really like a lot of the talent on this team. Like on paper, it looks real nice. That being said, a lot of these situations are in the decline for sure. I'd be lying to you if I said that DeAndre Hopkins was still ascending. That's not the case. He's a declining asset. And same thing with Thielen and Woods. All 3 of those guys, actually, the receiving core, are probably towards the end of their careers, but they're both they're all very productive still. So I like these guys, and I think I could go into next year with these 3 guys and not be devastated. But they used to be the pillar of the team, if you will, and now they are kind of the thing that's going to be holding us back. It seems like. Still got Travis Kelce. I really don't think Kelce's going to decline in the next couple of years. He seems like one of those unicorns that can just keep rolling and he doesn't seem to get banged up, and I think he's just going to be a great player. Um, and then Brady coming back was kind of the one thing. Oh, hold on a second. We got a Travis Kelce signed mini helmet. You should send that to me for free if you'd like.
No.
I think I would appreciate. He is my Lord and Savior after all. So like I said, I think they're solid. I really still like Kelce. Another big question mark is Barkley. Barkley being kind of in that flux. Oh, we have a raised hand over there.
We're polite here. So would you say that Saquon Barkley, like DeAndre Hopkins, is also not ascending anymore? Namely, since his rookie year?
His value is not ascending. That's for sure. Like his overall dynasty value, it's still high because of the quote potential that's still there. And we all know he's talented. I don't think anybody would argue that.
Sure.
But situation and injuries, there's no way he could be as high as what he was after that ridiculous, I think it was a sophomore year, or maybe it was the rookie year, that he was just absolutely outrageous. So I can't imagine you would think it'd be higher than that right now.
I am just screwing with you. Barkley's great. The Giants are terrible. That's
yeah. And there's been talk about, Barkley being on the trade block. That would really change things in the outlook of my team for sure. I mean, if he ends up in a good situation, like, God, could you imagine like a Barkley to Tampa trade or some shit? Like, it would just be unbelievable. It would be incredible. And I think
at this rate, he's going to the AFC West. So
somebody out there we'll find some picks. I promise we'll get them. Yeah, I like my team. I still think this has playoff potential, but I'm wondering, I would need a good draft this year to kind of restock my depth because it's not really there anymore. After all these trades and just people are declining overall. But I think my team is still in the playoff picture, but could potentially be one of those mediocre, get bounced in the first round kind of teams right now. I think the team is pretty much held together by Tom Brady, Nick Chubb, and Travis Kelce at this point. And it's something, but I don't know if it's enough. And I think the Devontae Adams trade kind of put us in this position. But I also couldn't really pass the Devontae Adams value that I got. So I think it was one of those, it hurt to do it trades, but I needed to do it. So we're still in this position now where we're kind of in flux, if you will. You really don't want to be in this spot in Dynasty, if we're being honest. But we are open for business here at the Texas Armadillos. We are always open for business. And if you got some guy on this list that you're just like, hey, I really like that guy, let me hear about it. I want to hear about it, because I think I'm an ideal trade partner for a team that just kind of needs a couple of pieces perhaps to get over to that next edge and to get into the that championship game. And I might be willing to listen to you because I don't know if I'm going to be there.
You sound like a radio DJ trying to get people to call in.
Yeah. Call 232-555 fuck you 85 and let me know what you think about this next song that I'm about to spin. No, I think I have chips. So if we want to play poker and we want to talk, let's see what happens. But I think towards the draft we'll see potentially some more movement in that regard. But I think my team is set up to go both ways right now, and I don't think I have to make a decision right now either. I think I can just wait it out to see what happens towards the draft. So the only other guys that I really wanted to talk about, as far as like bench guys with some upside perhaps, I do want to talk about Trey Lance, because I think most other people would agree that Jimmy G probably won't be back next year in San Francisco. It's possible.
He literally said it out loud.
Like he doesn't want to be there. Like,
if I were him, I'd be fucking sick of it.
Yeah, like it's just everybody's just trying to take his job all the time. I just can't imagine that he's there next year. And if that's the case, Trey Lance obviously gets a huge bump for next year. And if he even lives up to half of his potential, in my opinion, he's going to be a stud. So even if the Brady, if Brady perhaps gets traded this year or whatever happens with my team, I still have some decent quarterback assets out there. So I like where my quarterback room is a lot more than I did a couple of weeks ago when Brady wasn't there. I like the idea of giving Brady the nod instead of the other two guys while they kind of figure out their own shit. But Hurts is a very quality backup right now. Um, Sean, out of all the guys on my team, if you were like, I would like to acquire this player, who would it be?
I
Not considering your draft capital or whatever you got going on with your own team, but just like here's a guy I would just like to acquire if I had the capital or whatever.
and probably Nick Chubb.
I would think he would probably be the number one guy that most people would be
Is
after. That would just be
that
my
what I'm gonna
thought.
get?
Um, I I think Nick Chubb is still a complete stud. So I think it's even with, I mean, this quarterback talk, he's just going to get his carries, and he's the most efficient back with his carries, I think, in the NFL. So
That being
love the
said,
kid.
big Nico Collins fan here. I do like
I'm a
that.
Nico Collins fan too. That's why I put him on the list here. I think he kind of flashed towards the end of last year, and he was playing with fucking Davis Mills in that just horrific offense. I mean, I can't. They haven't done anything to add to the receiving core at this point. I don't think in free agency. I love also too their terrible Dare Ogunbowale signing. So
It was
their
crazy.
backfield is now Rex Burkhead and Dare Ogunbowale. They're so bad. But I like Nico Collins. They'll probably end up drafting somebody again this year too. But I really like the fact that they have him and Cooks as seems as of right now. That still should be fine for next year. And I like Collins, his upside. So the guy that honestly probably most concerned with is just James Robinson. The injury was just awful timing for him and my dynasty team and the real life fantasy league because if you think of just the nature of the injury, it's a torn Achilles. It's in week 15 or 16, so he's probably not going to be fully healthy, and that means he's probably going to lose touches to ETN early, which is not a good thing. And then not only that, he
They're
is
gonna have to get
still
somebody
under
else on that
contract.
roster too. Etienne's not he's not a bell cow back. So
No, no, they're gonna bring in somebody else. Like they had Hyde last year, they'll find somebody similar, I'm sure, to kind of bring in. So I am concerned about James Robinson, um, and of course I'm concerned about the Jaguars because they're an incompetent organization right now too. So they could screw him over even more than he's screwed over right now. So I love the kid. Obviously, just not the best situation, but
yeah, the
I think
running back depth is scary moving
it's very
forward.
bad. It's very bad right now. I can't argue that. We got Nick Chubb and Barkley. They look fine, but after that, it is a black pit of just nothing. Um, I think that's going to be something I look heavily towards in the draft. If there is some talent that maybe sifts down to my pick, um, which is Dan's first round, so it's 1-9, I think. So hopefully somebody will sift down there. If not, we'll probably just go BPA like usual. But that's probably the only way that this team, if I'm going to improve and contend this year, that's probably the only way I'm going to be able to do that. So um, I think my team is just a back end of the playoffs team right now, and I think we could go in both ways. So we can go ahead and talk about your team, the Lake Lure Long Gamers. Um, so Sean, tell me about the state of your team.
Um, I like
How are you
it.
feeling?
Feel pretty good. I think the two just stock up players right off the bat for me. Definitely, definitely St. Brown after the end of last year.
Finished
And
great,
it was it was so good.
tremendous last like 6-7 weeks.
I love that. That's gonna get him. I think that's. I'm hoping there's some carryover into this next year. Hopefully, you flank him with DJ Chark. I think that's good. I like that a lot. I like the signings with Mostert. That's a good landing spot if he can finally
He's gonna touch
play.
the ball.
Yeah, if he can play 6 games, I would be elated.
Yeah, if he
Uh,
plays half the year, you'd be set.
I probably would have won my playoff game if I actually started Devin Singletary. I was too scared, but I
I'd be scared too though. He's a head case for
he
sure.
he just like St. Brown had, like ended the year really strong, which is once again hopefully there's some carryover there, and they kind of keep away any major running back additions. Considering they were looking at players like J.D. McKissick, I'm not that worried about like what they're looking to add on that team.
Yeah, they could go to the draft, but at the same
Yeah.
time, they probably want somebody. I think Singletary is a good fit in terms of what they want for an early down back. Like I don't think they value having a big power back there because they run so much shotgun.
Well, they have one. His name is Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like they don't I don't think there's any threat towards Singletary's like they wouldn't I don't think they would draft a guy like Brees Hall or somebody that's
Right.
kind of like similar in play
I
style.
I fully understand and accept that Singletary is going to be great for them inside the 20s. And what I mean by that is 20 to 20, not
Yeah.
in the red zone.
Yeah, they're going to
I'm
use him
fine.
in the areas that make sense.
I'm fine with that as like my fourth running back. So cool.
Yeah, and that it's your fourth running back that will probably touch the ball like somewhere between 10 and 15 times a game. And that's fine. That's
Yeah.
totally fine.
I like I love my starting lineup. I think my starting lineup is
I think it's great too. As I was making this graphic, I couldn't help but be impressed with the wide receiver depth specifically.
yeah, I'm feeling really good about that. Sutton's gonna get a bump after that nightmare year last year with Wilson. I
I
like that a
still
lot.
think Cortland Sutton's a stud. I think this is the year that we finally get to see it.
I was really, I think just before we started the pod, Carolina is now out on Deshaun Watson. I was really hoping he would
That
go
would
to.
have been very nice for DJ Moore stocks.
Oh my god, I wish that guy could just get a good quarterback to play with. Just
I
please, give him like Gardner Minshew, and he will be a wide receiver one. He will be top 12.
think we're trending towards rookie quarterback. I think we're
This guy
trending towards a Malik Willis or a Kenny Pickett.
has literally in his career never played with a good quarterback. His quarterbacks at Maryland were absolutely garbage.
Mm-hmm. Maryland is rough out there. He's kind of got the old Allen Robinson syndrome.
Guy can't get a hand.
I can't do it.
So, AJ Brown is now once again the only game in town. Love that.
They're definitely drafting one, right? Like they have to.
Well, they liked. Is it Akina? Westbrook
Yeah,
Akina?
Westbrook Akina or whatever. He
They're
played great at the
looking
end of last
well.
year.
Yeah, he played well. They might just believe in him. They might get like a smaller, like
I think they kind of need like a burnery kind of guy.
that too. Yeah, somebody like quick on the outside.
There's a
Like,
lot of that. So
so Tyreek was actually kind of disappointing last year after trading for him. He hit on like 3 or 4 games, and then outside of that was rough. Which
yeah,
normally, when like talking about Tyreek Hill, like that's not surprising. But the year before, where he was just the most consistent, literally the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL, it definitely felt like a big step backwards. So
yeah. The Chiefs had that run of just kind of what the hell are you doing on offense weeks. It was like 3 or 4 weeks towards the beginning of the year. It's like I don't know what's happening, and I think
he missed a
Hill
couple of
struggled.
injuries too.
Yes,
So,
yeah. I still
um,
love Hill. He's gonna be fine.
I don't really think I need to talk about the top two guys there. They're literally like
They're
it's
gonna
insane.
be in their roles.
They're QB1 and RB1 in my mind in fantasy football. Even in our scoring format with the 6 point.
Generational Jonathan Taylor, Alex. Just saying. I think we can move on from calling him a generational prospect, and we might be starting to talk about him as a generational player. I think that's the next discussion. I think he's going to be a stud for a long time.
I will be curious to see who the quarterback is in Indy, though. That is a little sketchy.
What if it's a Baker? That's going to be Jonathan Taylor
Same
fest.
as Wentz to
Yeah.
me. Same with Garoppolo. Garoppolo's the same. Like
Yeah, unless they get a superstar that like spreads it out a little more, that might be the only thing that would take carries away.
I actually wouldn't mind a better quarterback. It's less pressure. It's less 8-man
Yeah,
boxes.
I think he faced the most 8-man boxes in the league this year.
Did sure did.
And still ran for all that.
So
Love
I
the
would
kid.
say the only thing that like really on my team that gives me a lot of worries is just like starting the right tight end every week. Like
Yeah, these two tight ends, I was gonna mention that too because they're both good. They're both
yeah,
good. It's just like which one's gonna hit.
yeah.
So
Goddard is finally by himself. So we'll see to start a season. I mean,
yeah, maybe
so,
we get to see a full season because I think he finished at tight end 11 this year or 9 or something like that.
something
And
like
then
that. Yeah.
I think Gesicki and Goddard both finished at 9 and 11. I just can't remember which one,
Did
but
Goddard miss time too?
I think he may have been banged up a couple of weeks. I still like Goddard. I just don't know if he's gonna ever get into that top 5-ish conversation.
He only had 4 touchdowns this year, so
It's just not enough.
that's rough at the tight end position. And that's usually, I mean,
2 of those came when he had Minshew throwing the ball, right? Maybe we should just get some Gardner Minshew action.
don't get me started on this.
I
Literally, every time we talk about the Eagles, I talk about who the best quarterback on the roster is, and I don't really want to do it anymore.
Best quarterback. That changes things. Best running back quarterback. um, I just like I like both of your tight ends. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
just
Gesicki just got franchised, so
yeah, they're gonna use
I
him.
like that.
Gesicki I still think we just still haven't seen the best of him yet. I still think there's a next level that he could take his game to. I'm not sure if we'll see that out of Goddard. I think Goddard we might have seen what he can do already, but I still think that we haven't seen the best of Gesicki.
So I've got a question for you. Trivia time.
Oh boy.
Who lined up on the outside at a higher percentage last year? Cooper Kupp or Mike Gesicki?
Well, I mean, I think now I have to pick Gesicki,
You sure do.
but Gesicki is I've said this since I've drafted him. He's just a tall receiver. He's not a tight end.
So it's funny that I'm surprised he didn't end up doing what Jimmy Graham did when he got
I'm
franchised.
I'm not I am shocked too because if Gesicki was smart, he would have just tried to classify. And this is probably really just the Dolphins. They probably were like, hey, you're a
Shit,
tight
we have a
end.
deal
Like
here.
this is what it
Yeah.
is. Like you're gonna be listed as a tight end. This is what you do. You're gonna block maybe twice a game so everybody can think you're a tight end, and you're gonna basically just be a big receiver. And Gesicki is a very good receiver. He just doesn't quite get the target volume. It seems like on a week to week basis, and I'd love to see that
Well, a
kind of
lot of
even out.
the volume was all going to Waddle, so
Of
it'll
course.
be once again interesting to see how that offense ends up working because there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah. Do you think that Waddle could kind of be that Debo, and then
Is he?
Gesicki could be the Kittle-y kind of guy?
I don't think there's another Debo in the NFL.
And I don't think so either. But
It's,
I think
it's
in terms of being
actually, I
able to be
think
creative with him,
actually that's not true. Somebody that could play like Debo if he was used like him would be AJ Brown. I
Percy Harvin.
believe. I think it. AJ Brown could fill that role, not 100% as well as Debo, but I think he could do better than pretty much anybody else.
Yeah, I think.
That's a
I think
different topic.
sure. I like. I think my even comparison with Kittle and Gesicki isn't really fair because Kittle is a
Kittle's one of
true
the best.
tight end and
Yeah,
he'll
he's one of
block.
the best blocking tight ends
So
in
I
football.
don't think you can even compare those two. But
That
it'll be
dude wakes
interesting.
up and is like, "I'm gonna block the shit out of somebody today," and he fucking loves it.
He's the best blocking tight end in the game. I'll stand up. I mean, as far as like a dual threat tight end, I'm sure there's somebody that's a better like overall blocker. But um, I love Kittle. I mean, he's a beast, and I still think just because he gets tons of credit as his receiving chops, but Travis Kelce is an excellent blocker too. But nobody cares about that. Yeah, I think this team is an obvious contender. I'd like to see Lamar stay healthy for the whole year. That's for sure.
Same.
Um,
Me
does
too.
that concern you at all? Like with
Yes,
having Wentz as your backup?
I
Are
I
you hoping for the Fields
yeah,
parade this year, basically?
pretty much.
Because I would be pretty upset if Lamar got like an early season injury, and that kind of derails such a great roster, and then you have to run with Carson Wentz. I would be pretty upset with that.
My first move will more than likely be picking up Tyler Huntley.
That would be a smart move. That would be a smart move.
Just how the last couple of years have gone. So
You're
anybody
gonna
that
have to
wants
get him from me though. He's on my team.
is he really?
He sure is. I scooped him up at the end of last year.
You
We'll
son of
talk. We'll talk. I'll have my people to call your people.
I don't typically, not that this is like a quarterback premium, just with how Huntley looked last year after, he's still rosterable quarterback to have as a
Yeah.
good backup. But I I really liked the flashes from Justin Fields last year, so
There were definitely some flashes. He was quality in a couple of games.
I I love to blame it all on incompetent head coaches. So
Yes, we haven't really talked about the Bears situation, but they have a new head coach and hopefully that changes things up there. Honestly, who is their head coach?
he was the DC in Indy, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, Eberflus. That's such a fucking dumb hire. Like why?
Yeah, but he won't be in charge of the offense.
I hope not. I mean,
So
Jesus. I want to kind of poke around and see who their OC is now. Hold on. Chicago
is he from
Bears OC.
Minnesota?
Offensive coordinator Luke Getzey. Huh? Who the fuck is that?
Is he from
Luke
the Rams?
Getzey. He has to be like one of those like disciple-y kind of guys. He was the Packers passing game coordinator and quarterback coach last year.
Okay.
And he was the quarterback coach for Aaron Rodgers in 2019 and then the wide receiver. So he's basically been with the Packers the majority of his professional career.
So he hasn't really had to do anything. Got it.
Yeah, so he's kind of one of those guys that may have just sifted his way to the top. I don't know.
Love it. It
We'll have
sounds
to
like
see, but I like Fields. I think he's got some upside for sure. I like the kid. He's kind of in the same boat as Trey Lance. Really, we just want to see what he does.
I don't think Trey Lance is very good at football. So
I don't think so either. But that boy can run.
but damn, can they run?
All my quarterbacks that are my backups now are just runners. I don't care. All right, Sean, where do you think you finished this year? I think you finished. I think your regular season, you probably end up somewhere between 3 and 4. That's my guess.
I'll take it.
Just because I think the top dogs are very top doggy, and
I
think
it's all going to be health and
Yep.
surviving the bye weeks. To be
it's
honest,
survivability for sure.
my depth is challenged, and I don't have any draft picks. So
yeah, that's something I haven't really talked about. Actually, was the draft pick situation. You don't have your first for this year and next year, correct?
I don't have my first, second, or third this year.
So you have a fourth, but you do have a fourth.
I do have a fourth.
There's always a good quarterback that falls to the fourth. It's happened every single year.
Get this year's Justin Herbert. Shout out James.
It's shout out James CV for that one. I also want to mention too that, and this is going back to my team, so I'm going to steal your spotlight here for a second. But we're just talking about draft picks and playoffs and all that stuff. I want to just say that the Texas Armadillos, Buffalo Blowouts, Tatooine Raiders for one off season, that whole franchise organization has never missed the playoffs in the history of this league. So I just want you guys to understand that if I do blow this thing up, that this was a hell of a run. Okay, I just want you guys to know that we put our best foot out there every year, and we really made this work for the last decade. And if it has to be blown up, it has to be blown up. Anyway, that's all I'll say about my team. So I think 3 and 4. I think I think this is a playoff team for sure. Of course, with injuries and crap, you never know. But
I mean, the top two guys on that list can get me to the playoffs by themselves. So
for sure, I mean, honestly, Hill, Brown, Moore, Sutton, Brown again, St. Brown. Dude, if those guys can just stay healthy, they will carry you to the playoffs, in my opinion. It's just a matter of getting hot once you're in, and I think that's going to come down to how healthy is Lamar Jackson towards the end of the year, because I just feel like he's going to be a perennial. Geez, I'm not even going to try to say it again. He's always hurt towards the end of the year. It seems like
always
banged up. So
always.
Get this guy out of the hospital room during that time frame, and I think he'll be okay. I think it'd be really good. All right, let's see here. So next we got another fun segment. We'll hop off the team reviews for a little bit, and we got ourselves some Would You Rather, Sean. And this is always a fun one in my opinion. So I'm going to ask you a question. It's going to be two players. I think I made them all the same position so that it wasn't so much of a debate. And you're going to tell me which one you'd rather have in Dynasty, just overall. Here we go. Stephon Diggs or DK Metcalf?
Diggs.
I think after the Wilson trade, that made that a little bit easier. I think I'd also go with Diggs. I think Diggs is younger than most people think too. I don't think
I
he's as
don't.
old as people make him out to be.
I don't care. I'm
Um,
out on Metcalf. Diggs.
wow. So Sean O'Shea says fuck DK Metcalf.
Pretty much.
Next up, Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs? Especially now that the offense is looking a little weird in Green Bay.
Jacobs. He's
That's a tough
younger.
one for me. I think I still go Jones. I don't know if I like Jacobs that much anymore. I just like he's good. I don't know. He's kind of in that David Montgomery range for last year. Like Montgomery had a great year last year, but like the year before, where it's like I don't know what he is yet. He's good.
I wouldn't have to pay as much for Josh Jacobs. Give me
That is
Jacobs.
very sure, very true. Of course, our friend Justin Senior loves to hear that too. So, um, Kareem Hunt or Damian Harris?
How old is Hunt?
He's got to be at least 26 or 7. Gotta be. Seems like he's been
He
around for a while.
he's actually shows that he can be on the field on third down. So
Harris does not play third downs at all, really. I wonder
I
how many catches do you think Damian Harris had this year? Can't.
7.
7. That's lower than I thought. I was gonna say like 14. Let's look.
You underestimate Bill Belichick.
I really do. He loves those
How
situational guys.
predictable his offense is by what running backs in the game.
So he was a number 8 overall running back this year for the record.
Damian Harris was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
929 yards, 15 touchdowns. He had
yeah.
18 catches.
Oh wow. All right.
18. So he can do it, but does he
I'm
want to
really
do it?
worried about that backfield this year. I think it's gonna be
You like
really.
Ramondre?
I don't like him. I think Damian Harris is a better running back, but
They also just re-signed James White too.
right.
This is a tough one. I think I'd go Hunt.
I
I
I
like
would
this dependability.
I just hate New England. Give me Kareem Hunt.
All right, fair enough.
Fuck them.
I really don't want any Damian or any New England running backs usually anyway. So Chris Godwin or DJ Moore. I feel like this might be an easy one for you because you're a little tied to the second one there.
Man, better situation or better quarterback?
That really comes down to it. It's all about situation. If the Bucks sign Julio, I think I'd go Moore.
I'm gonna go DJ Moore because it's on brand. That's
Yeah, I think you have to. And I
I
think
love Chris
Moore.
Godwin though. I think he's been the best receiver on that team for like the last 3 years.
Who?
Godwin.
Oh, dude, Godwin's he's amazing. I mean, I think people just don't really give him the credit because they see Mike Evans and doing crazy stuff, but Godwin is just so reliable. I'm gonna
He
look up
just
their age.
goes and
So
does his business, and Mike Evans just bitches.
DJ Moore is somehow still 24,
Holy
younger
shit.
than Najee Harris. Just saying.
Who?
Oh, hold on. You're very
Who?
right, Sean. Please hold.
Who?
Who?
Najee Harris.
There it
Okay.
is. Took a while to get there,
Right.
but yes, he is 2 years younger than Chris Godwin, so I think that makes the decision easier. Michael Pittman or Jerry Jeudy. I did this on purpose because they're both Alex players and
Pittman.
both have quarterback changes.
Pittman. I think he's just a better receiver.
Yeah, I think Pittman is going to be more quarterback proof. I think we already know that he's more quarterback proof.
Profiles as a number one receiver more than Judy does to me, which means he's just going to get more target share.
Yeah, I think long term, I would probably choose Pittman because if they can get a quarterback there, he's going to be pretty solid. Next one. This is a fun one. Gabe Davis or Allen Robinson?
Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I think now that we know what the situation is like, 'cause I think I made this right before he ended up in the Rams situation, but there's gonna be a lot of mouths to feed there.
If you would have put Allen Robinson in a better situation, I probably still would have taken Gabe Davis. But that's just because I'm a giant Gabe Davis fan.
This is also a tough
Yeah,
one too because the age difference is so big.
right.
You know, I think Gabe Davis, he's only 24 or something. Like you're gonna have him for a while. But I love me both of these players. So and then Darren Waller or T.J. Hawkinson is the last one.
I don't think people understand how much older Darren Waller is than
He's
Hawkinson.
been around, dude. He's been.
I'm going to take Hawkinson.
I mean, I was around when
Waller's got to
Waller
be
was.
around 30, right?
He's 29.
Yeah.
Because I was out there for those shrine practices watching him, and I
Yeah.
was in college. So
That being
right around the
said,
same
I
time.
mean, it's not like, I mean, he's in his football life, he's not that old just because of how long he was out of football. But
Yeah.
I'd still take Hawkinson. I just.
Hawkinson's 24 as well. He's a youngin. So I just think Hawkinson,
Career breakout.
he's not even in his prime really for a tight end. I think a prime of the tight end is kind of in that 27 range.
Yeah. Fant was going to break out before Hawkinson was, to me, just because Hawkinson's just the full blocker receiving
Well, yeah, he's
package. So
he's got that old school like bring your lunch pail to work kind of thing going on where if you can get Hawkinson paired up with a decent quarterback in a couple of years, like that's going to be a guy. I just think it's going to take longer to get there maybe with Hawkinson. But if you want that more immediate, like I need some points now, I'd probably go Waller. But it's kind of weird. So it's all about how your team's built in that given time. But okay, so that is it for today's episode. So we've done a little bit longer than our usual hour, but we did 2 team reviews, did Name That Bus. We went through pretty much every big and notable free agency trade type of deal. And then we also did some Would You Rather here at the end. So I thought we got quite a bit of stuff done. And then on top of that, I want to say that we're going to have hopefully some of you guys out in the audience on to talk about your teams here in hopefully the next month, before the draft. We'd like to get most of these done before the draft. So we'll see if we can keep these popping off here. So I'll be reaching out to each one of you to see if you want to hop on the podcast to talk about your team and the outlook and, maybe who's on your trade block and what you think about your own team. So we'll get that going in the next couple of weeks. So Sean, any parting words for the audience?
Yeah, sorry we couldn't get to the salary cap breakdown. We will get to it as soon as we understand it at all.
Once again, see, we are insiders here at the PHU Dynasty podcast with no inside knowledge. We're just insiders. That's all. We're inside our residences, our dwellings, making this podcast.
Inside the computer.
We are inside of your iPhone. We are just that's the only thing that we do that has to be involved with insiding.
Alex is going to laugh at that reference. Thank you for laughing, Alex. Appreciate it.
Alex might chuckle for that one.
He's going to be the only one that gets that reference.
I'll believe you. We'll go with that. All right. Thanks for making it this long in the video, and we will see you next time.
Bye.